Let's start with a very interesting story from birdspotter_4. I am an administrator for an institution that works in the public sector. The hierarchy of this structure is slightly complicated because of the nature of the job, criminal justice. I oversee around 20 employees. Those employees are supervised by 4 individuals with rank for 4 different shifts. Each supervisor has another ranked, lesser person to assist them, so basically each shift has a primary and secondary supervisor. They all report to one individual who ranks beneath me, and I oversee all of them. I report to the individual in charge of the whole institution, and that person reports to an elected official who manages the entire department. The tricky part is, the department has 2 divisions, and while this elected official oversees all of it, they really only run the other division. We have an employee who is very intelligent. However, his book smart is vast, and his actual experience in this line of work is minimal. He is a ranked assistant on one shift, so he works with the supervisor of one shift. He sends weekly emails complaining about all the other shifts and their mess-ups. He will write down everything from someone forgetting to remove trash, to someone making an error on a form, or even someone interpreting a directive differently than him. He makes it clear that his way is the correct way, and anyone not doing things his way should be written up. He shouts accountability constantly or sends condescending emails after a directive is put in place, usually because someone messed up, and advises me to, "You need to speak directly with the individual that caused this change. Otherwise, they won't have a clue it's because of them." Basically telling me and the head administrator how we should be doing our jobs. He targets employees and complains about them demanding demotion and accountability, and badmouths us for doing nothing about poor performance. Meanwhile, I have submitted multiple demotion requests and write-ups to HR for accountability, but the union steps in and dismiss many of them. This individual does not know or see any of this because personnel issues are not open discussions, and it really isn't his business what discipline is put in place, but it's being done. He just does not see it or hear about it to protect the privacy of that employee. Recently, he has started attacking a shift supervisor on the opposite shift. Anytime something is off, he sends an email with her opus accusations to that supervisor, all of which turn out to not even be true or from that shift to begin with. He ranted about how he never sees the administrators, and in order to run a good facility, administrators need to be visible and involved on every shift, even sighting. It's not that hard to come in late and stay late to speak to your employees. Basically telling us how we should be doing our jobs. He wants monthly supervisor meetings instead of quarterly, because this will eliminate misunderstandings of directives that the other shifts are doing wrong. Little does he know we had monthly meetings for a long time, and no one was able to make them, and nothing came of the meetings, so they requested quarterly meetings. I agree that visibility is important, and I stop in twice a month with night shift to check in and see day shift every day. But he never gets up to come speak to me during my rounds. He sits and reads or plays on his phone, which is allowed due to the nature of the job. He commented, "I can't recall the last time I saw any of you," demanding that admins come in more to micromanage better. I was in a week prior, so that kinda upset me as he won't acknowledge me. So I started coming in more and told him, "Why are you sitting? You should be managing. There are things to be cleaned and sorted. You can count inventory of supplies. We don't pay you to sit around." This upset him because we do pay them to sit around until needed, if they have an intake. I then asked him why he was sitting in a restricted area. He stated it was quiet in there, and common sense shows he's not violating the rule because he didn't go past a specific point, so he can sit there. It's a corridor leading to another part of the building not owned by us. I read him the directive, which states, "At no point should anyone for any reason go beyond this door unless in an emergency evacuation situation." I asked him again what was so difficult to understand about this request. He still found nothing wrong with going past the door to sit on the other side. I told him he has demanded accountability, so he would be getting a write-up for not following the directive. He flipped out saying it was such a minor thing and reminded him of all the little minor things he complains about with the other shifts. I continued to come in and micromanage everyone. A few employees asked why I was there all the time because we hired supervisors to manage the shift, so did we not think they were capable of doing the job? I advised that some people felt that they couldn't manage the shift and wanted administrators to come in more. The complaining individual got several more write-ups, one major one for an almost fire-able offence, showing that maybe, in fact, he didn't have all the answers. He sent an email to my supervisor complaining that I was micromanaging and being extremely anal with the minor write-up infractions that he now says aren't that big to even be reprimanded for. My supervisor asked, "But this is what you wanted, is it not? You complained that you wanted us to be seen and manage more and hold people accountable when they mess up." The complaining individual wanted other people written up, but not him because he was never wrong, or that's what he implied. I went back to my regular twice-a-month check-in, which is just stopping in to see how things are going on the shift. The complainer has been quiet for now, sitting inside the allowable room reading. His superiority complex will be his downfall. I remind him that the newest employees are the ones we can learn the most from, and he needs to value knowledge he can get from anyone, regardless of their experience or rank status. I'm an administrator, and I tell staff I am always learning and will continue to learn from everyone. The malicious compliance was executed flawlessly. By enforcing his own rigid standards on him, OP exposed his hypocrisy. His demand for accountability backfired, proving he wasn't exempt. The irony of him complaining about micromanagement was the perfect poetic justice. Well played. The next story from Wandering Black Cat. If you're not happy, then quit. Okay, boss. Hello, everyone. Thanks for all your comments. I deeply appreciate it and get motivated to share more of my stories. Those who read my previous stories may know that I'm a jack of all trades, and I made a lot of different jobs before staying in the hospitality industry for a while. I never quit a job in my whole life without giving a suitable notice. But not this time. My encounter with one of the worst managers I have ever had the misfortune to work for. My family was not rich, and I needed to get as much money as possible after I turned legally able to work to pay for my school tuition. I worked for a temp agency specialized in logistic and transport jobs. I took as many jobs as possible, day jobs, 2 hours paid only jobs, weekly jobs, and always made my employer satisfied. They trusted me even for the toughest jobs you can imagine. I have one simple rule: treat me with respect, and I will respectfully work for you. Even doing sometimes overtime is fine by me as long as the employer is nice. This is the story about me working for a new warehouse dealing with shipments. We were about 10 young men, all university students, and would have to work from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. from Monday to Friday. No overtime, no extra pay on night shifts, just the basic minimum wage and nothing else. No cash for food or gas money. Our job was to dispatch all kind of parcels into different trucks. It was summer, so it was damn hot. So hot you could grill a steak on the pavement. Edit. I know this may confuse some people. I may have chosen a bad metaphor. Nights on summer are usually between 18 to 25 degrees Celsius. Bearable. But working and running around wearing safety boots and jeans made us sweat like crazy. At 5:30, and packing stuff in trucks was also horrible. It literally felt like being in a sauna. At 6 a.m, we could already get between 25 to 30 degrees. And of course, no aircon. But that makes sense as doors were always kept opened. Not only the job was tough, but the warehouse managers barely respected safety rules. For example, parcels that exceed 25 kilos are not allowed to be carried alone. When one of us dared to tell the asshole manager, let's call him A-hole, that it was way too heavy to be lifted alone, he would just say, "Don't be a pa. Everyone here is doing the same job. If they can lift it, you can do it. And if you are not happy about it, just leave. You're not irreplaceable." He kept yelling the same things over and over in that small warehouse. We were all assigned to a different gate. Therefore, we were all working alone, but not too far from each other. Days were always busy, and we could only have 5-minute break for a quick shot in the toilets or a quick smoke. The worst was for the people assigned at the bottom end of the warehouse. They literally had to run the whole way if they wanted to take a trip to the washroom. Worst thing? A hole barely helped anyone on the floor. He just spent his time walking around and yelling, "Don't forget, you're not irreplaceable. There are plenty of people begging for a job outside willing to take your place." And the one I hated the most, "If you're not happy, then leave." The job was already painful enough. Why did he need it to make more annoying? Sometimes parcels could barely fit inside a truck as it was getting fully loaded. A-hole would usually yell at us for being incompetent and would literally kick parcels, smashing the content to make it fit inside the truck, and proudly says, "You see? How can this be that complicated?" The icing on the cake was one night. We arrived, as always, at 2:45 a.m., all of us feeling asleep and no one to open the gate for us. We waited until 3:30, until A-hole arrived and straight away yelled on us, "What the hit are you doing here?" "Well, we are here to work." "The trucks have been delayed. No need for you to be here. Get back home." "Are we still going to be paid? We showed up. No one told us not to come." He smudged. "Why would you be paid? You are not working. Now get back home and no need to come unless we call you." We were stunned and damn furious. As A-hole left, we all agreed on a few things. Here is where the revenge starts. No one showed at work the next day. I received a call from an angry A-hole at 3:30. "Where the heck are you? There is work to be done. You told us not to come unless you'd call us." "Then what do you think I'm doing right now? Get the hinders up and get here." "I'm sorry, A-hole, but you are not my employer. I'm employed by temp agency name. Therefore, all shifts must be confirmed by my employer before allowing me to go on site. The office opens at 8:30, so please call them and they will call me." I hung up. At around 9 a.m., I received a call from my temp agency asking why all of us did not show up. I gently explained everything, and the agency asked me if I could go there now. I explained that I could not, as I have to attend some classes. After a short conversation about the working conditions we had, the agency asked me if I could go there the day after. I told them that I cools probably finished the week. It was weekly contract, but I would not be interested to stay longer. They understood. We all showed up the day after, and sure enough, A-hole was pied. He started yelling on us as always, stating we were a damn spoiled generation that knows nothing about hard work and take everything for granted, etc., and we all got back to work. Again, he started the same thing, not helping, but just yelling around. If you're not happy, then quit. You're not irreplaceable. I stopped putting parcels in the truck and said, "You're totally right, A-hole. I'm not happy, so I quit." "What the he are you talking about? Get back to work." "You just told me that if I was not happy, I could quit. Then you're right, I quit. Get back to work or I'll—" "Or you'll what?" I asked gently. "A hole is right. I quit too," said another staff. And within a few minutes, the 10 of us left the warehouse, as A-hole kept screaming, "He'll get our too." It was 5:30 a.m. and there is a ton of work to do. But only A-hole and some management staff in the office were there, left with a crap ton of work to do. I received another call from my temp agency who asked what happened. How can 10 people decided to leave their job on the spot like that? I explained that I simply did what A-hole told me. I'm not happy. So I quit. And then I added all safety process that was respected at work. No safety gloves provided, no earplugs provided, carrying heavy goods without any help, etc. They told me they would have a meeting with the person in charge, but to please never do something like this again. And yeah, I still worked from time to time for this temp agency after that. My conclusion, and what I learned from that: treat people with respect, and they will respect you. Treat them like crap, and karma will simply hit you. Hope you enjoyed that story. The malicious compliance was flawless. By following the manager's own words, the entire team exposed his incompetence, left him drowning in unfinished tasks, and ensured management faced consequences. A perfect example of karma in action. The next story, From Current Dash Fly, 8346. Oh, that was Katie's job. I'm not sure if this belongs on malicious compliance, but I figured people will enjoy this. I was working for a manufacturer years ago. It was a small operation run by a husband, CEO and wife with a sister business of a front-end platform that was run by the wife's brother. The husband's mum and some cousins also worked there between the two businesses. With an operation like this, you had the typical micromanagement from CEO, minimum wage pay for top dollar performance expectations, and the general nonsense you can expect in a setup like this. I had this job while in college and needed to build my resume. They let me have a flexible schedule so I could leave early for my night classes, and when I had midterms and finals, so I knew I had to stick it out. After about 6 months of working there, my job responsibilities grew tremendously, but my salary did not. There was a high turnover rate in the office from the we're a family environment that meant actual family got special treatment and everyone else was expected to do a crazy amount of work without getting any credit. One of my friends, we'll call her Katie, was looking for work and my company was hiring. I told her what she was getting into, but as a recent college grad looking for office experience, she decided to give it a shot. First, my referral bonus never came even after she had worked there for 90 days, and I was told that I shouldn't inquire about it because I referred someone to help the company, not to get the extra money. I wasn't in a position to push, so I didn't. I trained Katie in her role as she was taking some of my old responsibilities. Well, the CEO and the wife didn't like how much time the two of us spent talking to each other, or how much time we spent away from our desks, which was genuinely us using the restroom and getting water. This made no sense because I handled product onboarding and Katie suggested products for curated events, so it was important that she knew what new products were coming out and when she could start promoting them so that stock wouldn't sit in the warehouse. We separately had meetings with the CEO and office manager, putting us on probation for this behavior. Cue malicious compliance. We stopped talking as much in the office, effectively cutting me off from curated events and making it impossible for Katie to use our new products on the upcoming events. Events could be scheduled anywhere from a week to several months in advance, so it was a great way to boost sales and visibility for our new items. My friend ended up getting fired for having a brain and questioning some of the stupid policies. Also for doing something as outrageous as taking her unpaid lunch hour, showing up at 9 and leaving at 5. Normally I would have gone back into the platforms to curate events until they found someone to take over the role. But I was petty. I had been there for a little over a year. I was training employees, teaching myself the ins and outs of all our retailers' backends to upload products, coordinating with our factories overseas, the freight companies, and our warehouse so that products would be live as soon as we had stock and was still getting paid, like I did for the minimal role I had when I got hired. So not my job, not my problem. Fast forward a few months, the CEO decides to show up to work on the office floor instead of working out of his private office. Whenever he was on the floor, he was always super loud and disruptive to the general flow. I hear him talk about sales from the past few months, specifically about sales from events, so naturally my ears perk up. He starts getting louder. I don't get it, there's this huge decline in sales. None of our new products are getting any traction. I haven't been addressed, so I keep tapping away at my computer and act oblivious. He calls over the office manager, and they start hashing it out. 6 months ago, the sales for our new items went down significantly. I'm thinking, yeah, duh, that's when you told me and Katie to stop talking. The initial data that was supplied with product photos and descriptions weren't clear. It would have been a very long process for Katie to sift through the new products to try and match them to events, as opposed to what we used to do, which was she would tell me the theme and what she was looking for, and I'd get her data on a short list of items that she could review to match, to set events as opposed to dumping 100 products on her. Then 3 months ago, they became almost non-existent. Sales have dropped almost 70% with these events. 3 months ago is when Katie got fired. Eventually, the two of them piece together that they need to blame whoever is curating events, and the CEO starts asking everyone in the office, whose responsibility is it to work on events? Finally, it gets to a point where I can't stay quiet. The office is too small, and I play too big of a role in product management, so I chime in, "Oh, wasn't that Katie's responsibility?" CEO replies, "She hasn't worked here in 3 months. You mean to tell me no one has been submitting products for 3 months?" He is livid, and it's clear that I am now in the path of his rage. Why has no one been handling this? Everyone is kind of looking around, and the office manager, let's call her Karen, starts shifting the blame onto me, since technically Katie was in my department. Once the finger pointing started, I was prepared to defend myself. "Well, Karen, I thought you were the one who was in charge of managing and keeping track of every employee's role." So Karen replies, "I am, but you knew this is an important part of our sales and marketing." I reply with, "The week before she was let go, didn't you specifically get all of her passwords and a complete list of all of her tasks?" Karen replies, "Yes." She is clearly concerned with where I'm going with this. "And after she was let go, did you communicate to me that those tasks were now my responsibility?" Karen, "Well, no, but I shouldn't have had to." Me, "But you're in charge of delegating tasks and making sure all work is assigned to employees. Are you implying that I was supposed to know that you had a list of tasks unassigned? Why would I assume that you didn't delegate those to another team member when that's an essential part of your role?" Needless to say, while Karen was very annoyed with me, but I wasn't taking the fall. They didn't ask me to curate events. Karen handled that which got them to hire another person very quickly because it was too much working for her on top of her other duties. The story of me and the new girl needs its own post, so I'll end this one here. TL Dr. Office Manager and CEO let go a very productive employee for stupid reasons, and then discover 6 months later no one's doing her job because they never delegated it to anyone else. Edit Part 2 is up under petty revenge for some reason it won't let me post it in the comments or on malicious compliance. Edit 2. Katie is doing well for those who are asking. After she got fired, she was able to collect unemployment. She had had a job since high school and worked all through college, so she took advantage of getting paid to look for work, which was especially nice since it was on the company's dime. She has a good job now as an office manager for a company that has a few different branches in our area. The malicious compliance was flawless. By strictly following orders, the OP let the company sabotage itself. Their refusal to pick up Katie's tasks exposed management's incompetence, leading to massive sales losses. The perfect mix of pettiness, patience, and well-deserved karma.